You're listening to the Academy Podcast, presenting an innovative curriculum for personal growth. Sit in on exclusive conversations with influential people as they share the secrets that made them the front runners in their industries. Now here are your hosts, Austin and Kagia.
We are proud and happy and ecstatic to have in the house the group Virtue.
Yes.
Visually, Ebony, Heather, and Karima. We're glad to have y'all here today and just excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys for being on the podcast today.
Happy to be here. Happy.
So listen, we're excited. You all are a talented group. You all have some things that you all have done that's been very successful, but you also individually have a lot of things we want to talk about. But we're excited to hear what God has been doing in your life. But if we can we just open up kind of with you all start, how things began, what it looked like for you all, how the group started, what was the idea behind it, what was that like?
The group actually formed at Oakwood ions ago, a very long time ago. I was asked to put a group together for Vespers on Friday night. And
wow.
What'd you say?
I said, wow.
And I knew Ebony would definitely be a part of it, even if she said no. And I chose.
Wait a minute, Ebony, did you say no?
Probably. I don't know. I'm sure Ebony said no at first. That's just what she does. She'll say no at first. And so it was Ebony, myself, and two other girls, Siobhan and Tasha. And we sang in Moran Hall. One time we practiced with David Troford, and it somehow, it was amazing. We sang When God Is in the Building, and it got all the way back to California. It was everywhere. Like, oh my God, there's this girl group. They sang blah, blah, blah. And I was like, really? Okay. And so we just started rehearsing because people were like, y'all need to remain a group, stay a group. We're like, we don't even have a name. So we came up with Endurance. And so we called ourselves Endurance, and people were like, that's so masculine. I was like, yeah, because it was a guys group in New Orleans. I couldn't think of anything else. And so we kept rehearsing and ended up in Nashville a few times with Roger Ryan. And Tasha actually left the group before that started happening because she decided that Tasha was the oldest in the group. So she didn't want to stay, and commit to that because she was the oldest. And so she had plans and everything for graduation. And she's an accountant today, making money. No. So the guy in California actually placed Miguel in the group because he knew her. She was a singer. And we were like, who is this girl? We don't know her. Who is she? But, we were like, okay, might as well, we need another group member. And we liked her, so we let her stay. But we would rehearse all the time here in Nashville with Roger Ryan. And then Roger, I guess, had industry friends and stuff. So he invited, I want to say he physically invited Tara. I may be wrong. I don't know how Tara heard about Endurance, but Tara Griggs McGee was over Benson, the Benson music group at the time, so long ago, so long ago. And so she was forming a new record label in New York. We didn't know any of this until after she basically told us who she was, because she didn't introduce herself to us right away. We just kept noticing her at our rehearsals, and we're like, oh, okay. Yeah. And she just said, one day she came and she was like, told us who she was and told us she wanted to sign us. Wow. And we were the first female group on Verity Records in New York, sister company to Jive Records. It was a big deal. It was huge. So it was
the name Endurance would have fit because you all been singing and still are for a while.
Yeah.
Still putting it down.
Yeah.
Endurance.
Still putting it down. I'm thinking you all been around so long that I look at that album cover that I knew was sweet. Boy, y'all was decked out in that orange.
Orange, yes. Signature. That's our signature today.
That's the signature. That's it. So for you all starting, I guess, what was that feeling like getting signed? I mean, what took off after that? What was that experience like for you? For those who are listening, who are trying to get into the music world, thinking about it, what was that like for you guys?
We immediately started recording, and we all were still in school. So we were like, how are we going to do both of these? You know, how are we going to do school and record an album and travel and, you know, promote the album?
Right.
But when God wants you to do something, he always makes a way. So Siobhan and I, we were still in school, and we got to graduate, and we finished the album, and we're recording. And our teachers were very, very kind to let us take our work on the road with us. That was unheard of. And so it was just a blessing, because we figured, hey, this is what God wants us to do, and he's going to make a way for us to do it. And it happened. I had gone to school to be a teacher. I wasn't even thinking about singing nothing. So it kind of like, you know,
I was a freshman, so it was easier for me to like just stop in my tracks and go back and backtrack and then finish, which I finally finished. But yeah, I didn't even want to go to Oakwood. I thought I was going to be a beautician. Like I wanted to fix hair, anything on the creative side, because I hated school. I could not stand it, and I just didn't like want to go to college. But my mom, if it wasn't for her, because our mom, faith-based, Holy Ghost filled, Jesus sister. She was like, no child of mine will be left is staying in New Orleans, so you're gonna have to go. But I snuck, and I actually applied to go to hair school, and I actually got in. She was like, it don't matter. You're not going there. So I just didn't even think twice or three. Well, I thought twice about it, because I was like, I do not want to go. But had I not gone to Oakwood, Virtue wouldn't have, you know, become who we are, at least not so quickly. Right. I mean, it happened, boom, overnight. So it was definitely meant to be.
And so my question is this: as it was happening, I'm sure somebody gave you some great advice, and somebody gave you some bad advice that you maybe did not take. What was like the worst? Come on, I know you talk about the best one all the time. What was the worst advice you got right there at the start?
Ooh. I don't think anybody gave us any bad advice. We had people around us who, at the time, we would be the first girl group on that label, and so
there was a lot of excitement.
Yeah, everything, it was exciting, and we immediately got an attorney, and we got a manager. But you know what I would say? We use the record label's suggestions for managers and for attorneys.
We did.
So if that was bad advice, maybe it wasn't bad advice, but if we would have had our own people, I guess, I don't know. I guess those people turned out to be great people in that moment, but because we didn't know any better about the industry, we used a lot of our record labels' advice and people that they told us that we should work with. And so that's the only thing that I could think of.
Well, you all were protected. We've
always been covered.
Y'all try the girls.
Right.
I would just say, because it was so new. I mean, not that, you know, music there's nothing new under the sun. I just feel like people were learning as they went along
with us.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what happened with us. Touch and go, like, oh, let's see if this works. If it doesn't work, then we'll try it. Now, were we pissed? I'm sorry for saying that, but at some of the decisions, but but you know, you learn, you go, you grow, and you learn as you grow and grow. So
Ebony,
that's what we did.
I got to follow up and just ask you, can you, for the listeners and viewers, what's the benefit of having your own people versus the recommended people that they had you be a part with, the lawyers, the managers? Is there any difference mainly?
I think so, because I think that if we had our own people, well, I'm telling you, it wasn't bad. It wasn't totally bad, but I'm saying if we had like my mama would have been my manager. I know for sure she would have my back, and then they made sure that everything was going in line how it was supposed to be. And it wasn't so much of this is a business. No, this is my family. I'm looking out for them, and you're not gonna tell, stuff like that. So
right.
I don't.
You maybe asked for. I wasn't in the group then. I was still in high school when they started. But I think of it. I think of it as like, if you were buying a house and you went to the same realtor, like say for instance, my realtor is Ebony's husband, who happens to be a fabulous realtor.
Yes, he is.
But I use somebody who he suggested to inspect the house. Well, of course he wants to sell the house. So he's gonna be looking on, from that perspective more than from helping me out. So it's just kind of like a conflict of interest to use the same people that are on a label, and you don't want to use their people because they're looking out for them and not necessarily you. So
right. Got you. But you were covered.
Yeah.
Well, we were covered.
I'm tripping here because, and everybody don't know, but for those of you all watching this that know Sister Trotter, y'all know where I'm coming from. She's one of the best.
You were right there with us, Lil Round, are they all?
Yeah. Yo, listen, Austin, this is like the best lady in the world.
Yeah, you were telling me.
Like, period, hands down.
Yeah.
Like her and T. Marshall Kelly, like, are the two top people ever born, period. And won't nobody argue that.
Right.
That know her, So to be her daughters, it must just be, you all are a famous singing group. And to me, you're still Miss Trotter's daughters. It's like,
I love it. Yes. We go way back with Kadia.
Holmes Avenue.
Yes.
Yes.
So it must be nice having her to talk to anytime you need to.
She lives with me, so it's great. And I kidnapped her. It's been 13 years that she's lived with us since I had my first baby. So she's been with us ever since.
You just needed a little help with the baby, huh?
I needed a little help with that first baby, and then I had 3 more. So we pressured her into staying and helping us out, and she hasn't left since. She's downstairs right now, but I feel like they're serious angels at all posts, every part of my house, around it, because of who our mother is. I'm telling you, I tell her all the time, she has an incredible story, and we keep saying that we're going to help her write her story and her book. And she is just a phenomenal person and a woman who is so connected to God that we have undoubtedly benefited from her relationship with God and her closeness with him, man. It's just been a blessing. I'm happy that we have the opportunity, that God thought enough of us to put someone like her in our lives.
Right.
Amen.
How did the upbringing from her help you all in the journey of being a successful group? How did you see that kind of come to pass for you guys?
I'll let somebody else say.
It's her prayers.
Her prayers for sure, but I feel like definitely because of her prayers, our attitudes have been intact. Because it's easy to lose your cool. Yeah. And I'm not saying that you should let anybody walk over you, but there is a certain way that you talk to people. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like you can get anything you want if you just say it the right way.
Right.
And my mom taught us that, always season your words with grace. And I'm probably the spicier one in the group that will say whatever I want, but then still nice. You know what I mean?
Right.
But because of her, I feel like we know how to talk to people. We know to have relationships with people, and we treat everyone well.
Yeah, I think my mom is a singer first and foremost too. She grew up singing. A lot of people don't know. She taught us all how to sing, and she grew up singing with Aaron Neville in New Orleans. I don't know if you guys have heard of Aaron Neville, real distinctive voice, but she sung a whole bunch and had the opportunity to go to New York and make some records. And then the Lord she has some crazy stories about how God stopped all of that from her. So growing up, she would not let us listen to secular music. We couldn't listen to nothing in our house but gospel music. So we are huge fans. I think she kind of implanted that in us. So it became a natural love. She put us in the choir. We could never be like my kids today. I ask them if they want to do stuff, and like I feel like I'm almost like on eggshells trying to push them to do things that I know they should be doing. Like we didn't even have a choice to do. Oh, you gonna be a pathfinder? Oh, you gonna be in the choir. I remember getting slapped in the mouth for trying not. I mean, and my mom is one of the sweetest, mildest, gentle people that you know. But when it came down to, I thought there was some people in town that I liked, and I might have been in the 5th or 6th grade, and I thought I am too old to be singing in the children's choir. So I snuck out of the choir stand and found myself downstairs in the foyer of the church on my way back up to sneak to the balcony. And somehow Rebecca met me in the lobby right in front of the water fountain, in front of my friends. And she was like, well, what are you doing? Why are you not upstairs in the choir singing? I was like, I'm too old to be doing that. Before I knew it, I was just like holding my face. Like, what happened? Holding my face and marching right back up to the choir to sing. So yeah, she has everything to do with who we are and why we sing gospel music.
And to add on to that, if anywhere we went, she would make us sing. Karima, Ebony, Heather, Dion, sing for them. Sing a song. Do it right now.
Yeah, okay.
And so we had no choice but to sing, because I guess we would have got popped like that, like Heather's saying, but I ain't never got popped like that because I wasn't smart to my mama like that. But whatever. But yeah, she would make us, and she does it to this day. They sing in Virtue. Y'all, you ever heard them? Sing them a song.
Sing something for them right now.
You still even now.
Yes, we gotta stop what we're doing, especially if we're and she makes us sing. So yes.
And you better not say no. You're not gonna do it for the Lord. Your voice is not, it does not belong to you. Your voice is for the Lord.
Yeah. That's funny.
So speaking of family, I am curious of the transaction or the transition between Heather, how Heather got in the group. Like what went down?
Well, first of all, Siobhan had a baby, and she decided she wanted to be home with her baby. Then Nigel had a baby and wanted to be home with her baby. And so we were like, well, what are we going to do? And we were like, it's got to be Heather. We prayed about it, and God said it's Heather. And Heather said, God didn't tell me it was Heather. So then Heather, you can tell them what the Lord told you.
It's just funny. We never even thought about another member.
Wow.
Right.
I can't believe that. That is so crazy. I always thought
wait. But you know what? Because
Tiffany Palmer.
No. After Siobhan, Heather came, right? Yeah, Heather. That's how it came with Heather. And then after Nigel left, then
we just decided
it's not anybody else. But the way Heather got in, we were like, we need you.
We never thought about anybody else. It was Heather.
It was Heather because we knew Heather sang tenor, and we were like, Heather could hold the tenor part. So, but Heather was like, I didn't go to school to be a singer. I'm not doing that. I'm staying as far away as I can.
Oh, you know what? I think somebody did suggest Tiffany, but Tiffany was so much taller than us, and she had stood in for somebody. Remember, and people thought she was our mother,
right?
Because she was that much taller than us.
Right.
And so it just didn't feel like it was just, stair steps. Well, not a stair step, just like a step all the way up. Yeah. She was super tall. Right. So, but yeah, it was always
that. I think plays a factor.
That's how it happened.
Aesthetics plays a factor.
Huh?
The aesthetics count.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had no intentions of singing. We grew up in a very musical family everybody sings in our family. And so I had seen, what it was like. I was a huge fan of Virtue, and I still am, of the first and second albums. I love all of our music, but of course I had a special connection because like everyone else, they just weren't doing music like that at that time. Right. Women weren't looking like the face of gospel did not look like Virtue. They look like somebody who I want to wear an orange suit. I want to be cute and look like them and be able to sing, and the music they had just captured something that was so amazing. Like the sound of like commission meets, I don't know. It just was amazing. All of our favorite elements in one group. Like I felt like I heard commission, the Winans, the Clark sisters, everybody at one time. So I was a huge fan, and I was happy to be just that, a fan. Ask them, I'm not even lying. I would travel with them. I do somebody's hair on the road, but I really didn't have a desire to put in the work that I knew. Like everybody else thinks that this life is glamorous, but it's not. Because sometimes you put y'all know, you put so much into it, and sometimes you still left with $0,
right?
Not knowing where your next paycheck is gonna come from, or just you know, having people love you sometimes and hate you the next. And definitely, I didn't want to be taking somebody else's place and having people compare me to them. Just like the other day, I was on the internet and somebody was being crazy from all this Babyface versus what is it? So now they want to pit everybody against each other, and somebody was like, "Who's better, Virtue or Trinity 5'7"?" And
like, those are our friends.
I was like, "That's our friends," but people were like comparing me then, and I read one of the comments. I was like, "Let me get off of this." They were like, "Which Virtue? The Virtue? The current Virtue, or the old Virtue?" That's what I never wanted to have to deal with, because I didn't want people to make me feel like I wasn't good enough. But God said, forget all of them people. They're going to compare you with it. No matter what you do in this life, you better grow some tough skin. Because if I tell you to do something, people going to come for you. They going to come for you. So that's how I ended up. Another good friend of mine who had joined a group the same way I did, told me to pray about it and don't tell nobody what I was praying about. And I did just that. And then God spoke to me so clearly. I was like, all right, I'll sing in Virtue.
So can I follow up, Heather? And I'm not, any of y'all can answer this question, but you just brought up a good point. I think me and G, we want to hear about the work. People don't talk about the work. We see the billboards, we see the flyers, we see the CD covers, we see you on stage. But talk about what it's really like, the grit of it. What is that like?
Hard.
Yeah.
Hard and hard. I mean, it's like, it's nothing glamorous about it, unless you have signed like a $50 million deal where they are putting you in all of the fanciest hotels and flying you first class. I mean, like, we have stayed in hotels that we were like, we're not staying here. We have pulled up and been like, sorry, we cannot stay here. It can't happen. Just, you know, learning the business and, you know, the do's, the don'ts, it is not easy. Even like traveling, like touring on buses, and you know, it's tiring. It's a lot. And even flying, even when we do spot dates to this day, you know, we're like, oh, that's a lot.
She breaking up to y'all too?
Am I?
You good? You
good? You're good.
I was breaking up.
Oh, maybe it's my connection.
It's okay. She's good. Yeah, we're good. Go ahead.
I was just saying that it is not glamorous, and it's. I feel like anything you love, you do it whether it's hard or not. So we did it because it was a part of the grind, you know. So, but it's not glitz and glam. I think my favorite part out of all of it is in the studio and on the stage. I hated interviews. I literally would clam up and get nervous for interviews. It was like my least favorite thing to do, because I always was scared that I was gonna say the wrong thing. I didn't know how to answer the questions, and so it just like made me sick. You know how you feel, Ebony? Like, Ebony hates the studio. I'm the opposite. She liked the interviews. I could not stand interviews, and then having to, you know, get up at the crack of dawn for a lot of stuff. I mean, we're a lot older now, so I think the older you get, the earlier you get up anyways. So you just kind of like get up. But man, the times of the day, I mean, like, your life is really not your own. You know, it's dedicated to building a brand for your group and your business, basically. So it is a constant grind, and it's not easy. And I don't think you ever stop working.
So you have to love it.
You want to keep reinventing yourself. Huh?
Sounds like you have to love it.
You have to absolutely love it.
I can see why other groups will peter out, because if you don't have the love, and you faced with the work,
and
then
they done.
over.
And you have to have tough skin in the industry, because everybody's not
we
gonna
didn't have it.
everybody's not gonna like the way you sound and the way you look. I mean, you know, so it's hard when somebody else thinks, oh, they got a record deal and I sing way better than them. I mean,
We get that a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
lot.
It's a lot of that. But you know, God told us we had to do this, and that's why we are still here 25 years later. I mean, 20 years later, we'll still here doing the same thing, and we every time we try to run away from it, it's right here. It's falling right behind us. So
right back
for a minute, and then look, you got to get right back to it, because this is what God said He wanted us to do. And when He says you got to do something, you got to do it.
Okay, speaking of that, I want to ask you, how do you choose songs? It's like, I'm sure there's some songs that you did not do that came past you. And
we have so many songs
that one of you all wanted to do, but the other two didn't want, or something. What's the process of choosing what goes on the album?
I think that all the songs that we choose, we've really come to an agreement on it. I don't think any of us have not liked a song and she didn't want to do this song, so we didn't do it because two people didn't like it. I think when the song—
That's not true.
That's not true.
Ooh, you talking about me?
Not just you. I mean, there's been a lot of things that we've like disagreed on, and then we come. But you know what is funny though? She is right though. We're so much alike.
At the end of the day,
you haven't been fighting like you. We're not doing that because whatever. But I'm saying the songs that we use, or they minister to us first, and they have to mean something to us. The words have to say something. It has to be something that has some substance to it, that, you know, that really like, oh, that's just amazing, that song. Or it sounds good, it makes you feel good, you're moving to it, you're doing whatever. So when we choosing the songs, I think because we're like one accord. I mean, we're the same people, really. I mean, we like the same stuff. I'm telling you, we would show up in a city coming from 3 different cities. I promise you, wearing the exact same thing. We didn't talk about it or nothing. We just have the same clothes. We buy the same thing. I mean, so in choosing the songs, you like, oh yes, I love that song. Oh yes, I like that song. The words, they minister to us. So if they mean something to us, we know that we can sing that song and it'll help somebody else, and it'll minister to somebody else as well.
Yeah, I used Angels Watching Over Me as one of my prayer meetings. It's like, it was the topic of prayer meeting, so I played it first, and everybody said, "Where did you get that from?" You know.
What?
Yeah, that was a great prayer meeting.
An oldie but goodie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I gotta ask you,
they mean a lot. They mean a lot to us.
We can tell in your music, I mean, that you care, and you can hear it. You know, when you all get on stage and you perform, it's not really a performance. It's just you're ministering. And I think that's important. Wow. But while we talk about you all ministering, and me and Pastor Scott or G, we do work for the church. But I just have to ask you this question, and let's be as candid as possible about this. In terms of how the church takes care of not just your group, but just what you've seen, where has the church lacked when it comes to taking care of groups? Would you say that for the most part, the church has taken care of you when they invite you in? Just talk to us, be real. What have you seen the professionalism from the church? What's it been like over the years working, not in the Adventist church, but just other churches? What's that been like for you all?
You know what's sad? They always say a prophet is not received in his own home.
Yeah, right.
We have not had the greatest experience with our own, meaning the Adventist church. Right. I think we've been, if I can speak for us, we've probably been treated the poorest by our own church, because I think we are spoiled. I know a lot of people who come from Oakwood, who've gone through Oakwood. We have experienced such a high level of musicality there that we feel that, like, oh, you know, that person is not that deep to me, or we really, really are very super judgmental. So we don't really have a lot of respect for people who sing. It's like, you know, it's something that everybody does at Oakwood, and everybody.
That attitude.
It's true.
Yeah, and so that attitude, I think, has trickled out not to every Adventist church, but as a whole, majority. I think we really need to fix that. Yeah, we need to fix it. We need to honor our ministers of music, people who sing, they do it, but yeah, they need to be paid. Yeah, they need to be respected. Right. If you have a writer which tells you what is on it to make the show a good show, I mean, have good sound. And just mainly the thing is that people don't realize that this is how you make a living. You know what I mean? So it would be like me calling you saying, let me get you to come and speak at my church, but I'm gonna need you to do it for free. Right. I'm gonna need you to take a 50% discount on doing it.
Right.
Well, then I can't feed my family. Right. I can't pay my bills. I can't do what I need to do if I'm gonna give everybody a discount on what I do. I'm not asking you to take a pay cut for what you do. So don't do that just because I sing and I feel like you feel like I'm non-essential. If you feel like I'm non-essential, then don't hire me to do the job, because it's a ministry, but it's also how we feed our families and how we make a living. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Are we getting better?
So you asked, I told you.
Are we getting
Hey, tell the truth.
Ebony, you're saying no?
I don't think it's getting better. I mean, we have been in Sunday first day churches, and we have been treated like royalty. I mean, like to the point where we each had our own individual cars when somebody picked us up from the airport. And it wasn't your mama car that you was coming trying to dust the Cheerios off the seat, picking me up from the airport. It was nice. I mean, I'm for real. That's real. You're not gonna go and pick up Mary in your mama car. You're not gonna go pick up Fred Hammond in your mama car.
It's true.
Why would you come and pick me up in an old raggedy car?
That's true.
And I'm supposed to be the stars at your church, and then you just treat me like I'm just okay. Here, this is y'all sit in this little bitty room. If I asked you in my writer to have me some warm tea, a fruit platter in my dressing room, have that stuff there. It's in the writer because it's a writer. You ask for all those things, but I just even hate the thought of performing and going to Adventist churches because that's how it is. I mean, it's not all of the churches, but the majority of them.
I know we've received such horrible attitudes that we've had to stop and pray, pray like for real for our attitudes to be right, because we have to minister, because y'all brought us here and y'all gonna treat us like trash.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And then on top of that, we've gotten checks that have bounced. No one ever gonna bounce. We've had arguments like
every
left
artist
and right, like knockdown, drag out stuff that would never happen with another artist. But because we're Adventists, we feel like you owe us.
Right.
I don't owe you anything.
Right.
And
it's disheartening.
I hate to even bring this up, but we were at a youth congress in Indianapolis, and it was. That's
when I said I would never ever perform for Adventists again. That did it for me.
And it was a youth congress, and Richard Smallwood was there. He was the headliner, and then it was us. But nobody knew who Richard Smallwood was because they were,
young kids
at the time. Virtue was hot. It was this, and we were singing, and we were Pathfinders. And because we weren't in our Pathfinder uniform, it was it was the whole thing. We sang the Pathfinder song because doggone it, we were Pathfinders. And they had a problem with that because we weren't in the uniform, I guess. I don't know.
What?
And then as it went along, they cut the mics off on us. So we were singing and cut the mics off on us. Time for Richard Smallwood to come on. Y'all get off. Richard Smallwood was so upset, he didn't even want to go on because he was like, this is y'all's people, this is your family, and they are treating you like this. And it was horrible for him to come in and say that about our people. And we still don't worry about it, it's your time, they want you to come. He was like, them little kids don't know who I am. This is y'all should have been headlining this. Right. But you have certain people who, they have in their minds who they want and who they think are the better.
And those squeaky wheels are very loud.
Yeah.
Every group has a squeaky wheel, and that squeaky wheel leaves a big impression. Like,
It does.
you know,
a very big dent. Yeah.
Right.
But overall, we love what we do.
Yeah.
And no matter how bad people treat us, because that's been our whole life story.
Right.
And we don't.
It's not.
So we vent about it sometimes, but look, we're still doing it. So obviously, God wants us to do it. And whatever you're telling us and however you're treating us does not matter, because this is what God wants us to do. And poot on you.
Right. And I love that.
And we still blasting that virtue out the car door window.
Right. Exactly.
Still blasting it.
And I think it's that's good to hear, because those who hear this need to know that you all are professionals, like, first. And I think that that's important. And me and G, we talk about it all the time. We cringe when we hear people aren't taken care of and things of that nature. And I think that that's good for us to hear, that we got to do better, just period. You know, Heather, you were saying, you were saying it's not just you all. It's other musicians have the same exact thing. But I'm thankful, I'm grateful, as Kagia said, that you all have been covered. And I think that's really important.
Awesome. We got to turn the corner, Doc.
Yeah.
We got to turn the corner, because this awesome singing group sounds like they're also awesome cooks.
Yeah.
Are also awesome writers.
Yeah.
And so we've been talking about the music, but I just want to spend some time just talking about, listen, you all are all doing your own things besides making music. And so if I can just give you all some floor time just to say, what's going on? What are you doing? And we definitely want to talk about that book. But I remember Chef Mommy going off. I keep seeing stuff from Ebony on there. And so I want to know what you're doing, Karima. I want to know what you all are doing outside of music.
Well, at present, I am a design consultant at Restoration Hardware. So I sell amazing furniture to amazing people. But before that happened, I opened a soup company called That Soup Chick. Wow. And it was birthed out of necessity. I asked God to give me something, because again, being in the music industry and not really having done anything else in their life. I mean, yes, I went back and got a degree in business management, entrepreneurship, but I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. But apparently, entrepreneurship has always been, I love ownership. And so I asked God to give me something that I could sustain myself with, and, you know, take care of my child, and just not want for anything. And, you know, I was literally at my wit's end about, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, 3.5, maybe it's over 3 years ago. And I had one week I had a craving for chicken noodle soup. I don't like chicken noodle soup. I never liked it anywhere I have eaten it. It's just nasty and bland. So I'm like, why would I want to cook that? Right. Not thinking, you know, like, maybe I can make it taste better. However, it did not go away. The craving for it, a week solid. Now, mind you, this is after I'd been praying and like just snot, tears everywhere, just like crying on my knees, on my face. Like, I need something for Karima. What are you going to give me? And forgot about that. And that's when I got that craving for chicken noodle soup. And it would not leave. Wow. So by the end of the week, I made the chicken noodle soup, made a whole pot of it, had everything I needed except chicken, and went and got the chicken. And I didn't realize it was going to make so much soup. It was the best chicken noodle soup I'd ever tasted in my entire life. That, I mean, it blew me away, and it was beautiful. I like pretty food, but pretty food should taste good too. And so I'm watching how I put the carrots in to make sure they're not overcooked, and the celery and the noodles. It was amazing. And so I was getting ready after I finished making the soup. I was like, good Lord, I don't know, I'm gonna do all this soup, you know, but I realized the time, and I had to go and pick Carly up from school. And I jumped in the shower and I just started crying again. And I told God, you have got to give me something. I need something for me. And I heard audibly, fill the jars.
Wow.
In the shower. And I'm like, because I talk to God in the shower. That's where we connect. I can, it's just water in him. So I'm talking to him. And I'm just,
hopefully there's a little soap in there.
I saw that. That's a chapter in the book.
It is.
The jars. Fill the jar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just,
okay.
you know, in hearing that, it still didn't click until I got out. I was looking for something to put the soup in because picking Carly up from school, I knew she was going to want to get a smoothie or something snack. I'm like, look, girl, we on a budget. We going to eat what I bring you today. So I brought some chicken noodle soup because I had in my cabinet, I had gone to a juice bar, like, I don't know, probably a couple of years prior to that. And I kept the jars with the tops. And so they were in the cabinet with the tops. So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Filled the soup in the jar, put the soup in the jar, topped it up. My hand shook. I was like,
wow.
What? Like, really, God? Like, you want me to sell soup? Like, for real? Like, nobody's gonna buy soup from me. And I mean, I had made cornbread that day, put a cornbread on top of the jar, took a picture, boom, there it was. I was like, okay, so if you want me to do this, as crazy as this seemed, like I'm gonna be selling food, like, for real, guy, you really want me to sell food, soup? And so he gave me the name for the company, that Soup Chick. Somebody had gifted me, it's right in this box, a brand new printer. Wow. My website was gifted to me, like a $4,000 website. All of it was given to me.
Wow.
And so it was kind of like, duh, yeah, I want you to do this. My name was available from my website, for Instagram, for Facebook. Everything just came together in that moment. And the first day I sold 15 jars.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the where I am with it now is I've sold, you know, some this year, a little last year. I think for 2 years straight, I did nothing but sold soup. And it was kind of stressful because it was all me, and I didn't realize I had taken on so much, because chicken noodle jumped to 9 soups.
Wow.
I was like, oh, let me try this one. Oh, y'all want to try it? You want to buy this one? And then it would sell. And then I'm like, oh, geez, what am I going to? It was a lot to do. I was like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's a lot to do. Right. So at the moment, I took a break. I stopped. And every time, like, the way I would encourage myself is I keep hearing fill the jars and I'll do the rest. Mm-hmm. You fill those jars and I'll do the rest. Right. So right now with food, you know, with COVID going on and more backing up, I had a what's it called, a pop-up. And, you know, the guy here in Nashville asked me if I wanted my soups in his store, but that comes with a whole nother like $200,000 price tag, because food is very expensive to get packaged and, you know, and mass produced and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I remember Walgreens reaching out to me, and I was trying to solicit, you know, Whole Foods. I mean, God told me not to stop, and I haven't stopped thinking about what he's told me as far as where he wants it to go. He wants it to be a household brand. So that means it's going to be on shelves. I don't know how it's going to manifest, but I know it's going to happen. So that's where I am with that Soup Chick.
You made me want to preach 5 times in your explanation just then. I'm sitting back here like, oh.
That was a lot. But yeah, so God is, when you ask him for something, be ready to receive it, and you can't be scared. So I always tell people when how did you start? Like, I just did it scared. You do it scared. Fill the jars and he'll do the rest. And so I just encourage my whole self just now in saying that again. Fill the jars, Karima. Whatever those may be, just fill them. I got you.
Fill the jars. Fill the jars.
Yeah, man.
I love that. Ebony, Heather, what about you? What's now for you all?
Go ahead, Heather.
Oh, are you sure, Ev?
Yeah.
Well, Kagia mentioned Chef Mommy. I call myself, I'm not a chef, but I call myself the Chef Mommy because God gifted me with 4 beautiful children who all have food allergies. And I figured it out with the first kid. He was around 6 weeks old, and he started like breaking out like on his face. And then that little breakout from his face ended up over his entire body, head to toe, just itchy and miserable. He had the worst eczema that the doctors had seen ever. And I'd never seen eczema. I'd never heard of eczema until this. And after that, he was miserable. After that, my daughter came along about a year and a half later, and she had the same thing, eczema. And then finally we figured out maybe these kids have food allergies. And boy, once we figured it out, it was crazy. We had 2 other kids. So now we have 4 kids they're all allergic to eggs, nuts, milk, fish. So pretty much, I told y'all that my mama stays with us. When I figured that out, I was like, please don't leave us. But it's amazing how, if you pay attention, God is always, the things that happen to you in your life, the way he sets it up, he never really leaves you without a resource or without being prepared or some help in the way. So all the while, I mean, we've been Seventh-day Adventists. My mom joined the church before we were born. And it wasn't until like midway into her life that she decided to stop eating meat and eggs, and she became vegan when it wasn't very popular to be vegan. So all of the things that my kids had happened to be allergic to, she had already eliminated from her diet, and she'd already figured out how to make cornbread, pancakes, bread, whatever we eat without any of those things in it. And I am so grateful and thankful to God for the way that he saw way even before my children were born. He already knew what they were going to need. So he put that love and that desire inside of my mom's heart to live and follow a diet that most people weren't even doing. I mean, we know the truth of the health message, but my mom was following it like a G from way back, like 20 years. So now she's been a vegan for over probably 30 some years. And because of her, I'm able to feed my children safely. And I just figure, like, when God gives you something so overwhelming that seems like a big problem, is because he wants to turn your pain into a passion. And that's exactly what he's done for me. With my kids all having these severe food allergies, if you look around now, there's so many kids and so many parents and so many people who are experiencing just what me and my husband and my mother have experienced with my children. I have been to emergency rooms all around the country, literally, with my daughter and all of my children at various times. You know, it's really scary. If they ingest something, if they eat something that is, that they can't tolerate, something as simple that you and I just eat every day anyway, like some milk or a nut. So God impressed upon me, I guess it's been like over 3 years now, Ebony was over at my house, and we cook a lot. Y'all know we from New Orleans. We like to be in the kitchen, regardless if people be laughing at us. And they're like, y'all from New Orleans, but y'all don't eat crabs. And I'm like, I never tasted that in my whole life, dude. And I don't even have a taste for none of that. But we love to cook and are in the kitchen a lot. So Ebony happened to be at my house, and we just decided to go live cooking. And we had such a great time, and the reception, it was live on Facebook, and people were like, when are you going to do it again? And then we were talking about my kids and why we cook like we do. And we had such a great reception that I just decided, God was just building me up to a place where I could do it. And I started a YouTube channel. It's called The Chef Mommy. And I have an Instagram page, but because I do have 4 kids, I do it at my own pace and in my own time. So it's not as regular as I'd like it to be, but I'm working on some things that I've been working for a while, because I believe that God gives us these things to help other people. So individually, he has definitely grown the Chef Mommy, and I'm excited that we could help somebody, and just at least, for people who have just been recently diagnosed with some kind of food allergy, that they're trying to avoid something in their diet. And then for people too, it just happens that I'm vegan now, and vegan has become a big craze. So it works out, everything that I cook is vegan on the channel. And so that's what I've been doing, the Chef Mommy, not a professional chef, but every mama should be a chef. Because if you want to be in the kitchen, whether your kid has food allergies or not, you need to be cooking something for them at home that is healthy. That way you know what they're getting. So anyways, people have to cook regardless. You can't eat out all the time. So
right.
That's what I do.
I love it.
Oh, that was well, my life compared to theirs, I'm on the simple side. Just a
We simple.
I'm a teacher, and I taught first grade for 10 years. And I now, for the past 2 years, I've been teaching middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So y'all heard that? That's my some text is coming in. But yeah, I am right now cooking at home like a short order chef or whatever. And I love to do it. So I don't have a problem with, with cooking, but just at home, online teaching and getting used to doing that, and just trying to survive the COVID-19. And I just, I love teaching. I have a master's in administration and supervision. And one day I aspire to, be in administration. I am kind of, but not in the position that I want. But yeah, teaching has been my first love. And that's why when we got the record contract with Virtue, I was like, but I want to be a teacher. I didn't come to school to sing. I want to be a teacher. So God gave me both of the things that I desired in my life. And I have a husband. I've been married for, I just celebrated 18 years of marriage. My son will be 16 days, and I cannot believe it. So I'm just happy. And if I'm not doing Virtue on the phone with
and you're being modest.
I'm in the classroom. I'm at school and at home. So
put her on blast, Heather.
Ebony's being modest. Ebony is a phenomenal teacher and an author. She has a book that is in the works that she's been working on. And she's done she is going to eventually be someone who is outside of the classroom teaching other teachers how it's done. She has a wonderful YouTube channel that she's been hesitant to share. She did an amazing video at the beginning of all this COVID stuff to like calm people down about homeschooling and giving them great tips. I can't remember the last time they do like this big Adventist teachers conference, and Ebony had she's fun. I have never seen a teacher like, she makes me want to go back to school because of the way, how innovative she is in the classroom with the way she does her teaching. So I think that, she's modest.
She's being modest and told y'all the simple side.
Right. But look out for her book because it will be coming out soon. And I have read most of it, and I think it's going to really be something that helps to change the way that people view teaching and the way that it's done. So sorry, Ebony.
Thank you so much, Heather and Karima. You guys are just amazing.
I think they're saying you're amazing. So
are you.
So
exactly.
That brings us to the subject we didn't want to skip over, is that you already have a book out collectively called Covered Girls. Look, and let me tell you, I love the title just because you all are so glamorous, but then because you mistried us girls, and I know y'all covered.
Yeah.
And so when I saw Covered Girls, I was thinking, I know they covered. Yeah. So if it's missing somebody, they're covered with prayer. They have that protection about them. But how did you all come up with the title? And just, if you tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah, it was in December of last year. We've been talking about doing a devotional book and wanting to do it for years and years, but life just gets in the way of getting the things that you want to get done sometimes. And we just we decided there was a friend of ours who needed prayer, and she reached out to Ebony.
She reached out to you
and said, "Can you ask?" She texted one of y'all and said to tell me to tell me to pray for her. But she wanted me to pray for her. So then I texted her back, and I was like, well, I didn't want to ask what it was. Like, what you need? Right. But then she was like, my friends and I are doing a 30-day, we're praying basically together for 30 days. And I was like, man, that's crazy. She asking us to pray. Of course I'm going to pray. And I'm going to tell my mama, who I know if you ask my mama to pray, it's going to get done in the moment that you ask her. And then she going to remember your name, and she going to call it 15 million times and ask God for whatever you ask. So I told my mama, and in that moment, I was like, I called Ebony and Karima. I was like, she asked for prayer, and then she told me, it stuck with me. I was like, she told me that they're about to do 30 days of praying together. And I was like, man, if they could pray together for 30 days, we talk together all day long. We should do it too. We should pray for her and pray, you know, just for whatever, for 30 days, just call God out, like for 30 days together. So we woke up and we prayed at 5 o'clock a.m. every morning, the three of us, just putting everything out there, telling God everything about, you know, our lives. And at the end of this 30-day thing, God was like doing something. He was moving. And he put it on
30 days.
Huh?
In the middle of those 30 days.
In the middle of those 30 days, God impressed us to write that 31 days of prayer. And when I tell you, God is so amazing and on time, I mean, I just wish that I could be the kind of planner that he is. Just a little bit of that anointed planning that he does, man. So he put it on our hearts to write this book, and he gave it to us, and he did it so fast. He put it all together. He allowed us to find all the resources that we needed on our own to make it happen for ourselves, so that we couldn't give anybody else the glory, the honor, but him. It was him who got it done. Right. He got it done so fast, and it's just inspiring stories and testimonies from our own lives, just, you know, average, everyday stories of how we know God is real and how he will show up for you when you need him the most. And so that's how it came about. And by January 1, it was ready to be bought. It was an ebook. And then a couple of days later, like, people kept asking us for a physical copy, and God allowed us to make it happen, man. You don't need people. Like, sometimes we have been mystified into believing that if you don't have no money, you can't make nothing happen. Lies.
That's true.
God says, I own the cattle on 1,000 hills. This is my world. And if you're trying to work for me, it's no way I'm not going to back you up. Yeah. I'm going to help you get it done. And that's what he did for us with this book. And I just know that everybody is supposed to have a copy of it because of the way that it happened. And then he was just building us up, because 2020 has been a beast of a year.
Yes.
He was teaching us to get together and pray. And after we released the book, we said, you know what? This thing is so powerful. We got to share it with everybody we know. So we just took to our platform on January 1, and our platform being Instagram and Facebook pages. We started having worship and prayer with people at 5 o'clock, 5:15 every morning for 30 days. We did it on 31 days. We did it in January. And in February, we took a break and did it only on Wednesday nights. And then in March, we picked it back up again, because we were like, something crazy is happening. Yeah, this is nuts. And so every Wednesday morning, we have it at 5:15 on Instagram, and we are just praying again that God will keep showing us how to minister, because we know that he is coming soon. If we don't get on our platforms, if we don't use the horns that we have, the rocks are going to cry out. Yeah. We don't do it, who else gonna do it? We're gonna sit around and let everybody else tell about Jesus and talk about him. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Amen. and not of the one that I know of. I can't tell nobody else's story and nobody else's upbringing. I can't be shy about the Sabbath no more. I can't be scared to say happy Sabbath on my page because I might offend somebody. I don't care who I offend. Yeah. I want to tell you what I believe. I'm with you. And I'm sorry if I offended somebody.
I ain't sorry.
I ain't sorry. Sorry, I ain't sorry. Everybody want to come out and say who they are. I'm sick of being shy. There was a time that we would be on the road and people would tease us for being vegetarian. Right. No, man, it's everybody crazy.
Vegan now and vegetarian.
If you eat meat, you the one that look crazy.
Exactly. You still right.
And it's really crazy because we used to travel with people and we would be on tour and they'd be like, y'all not gonna have no meat, y'all gonna eat no shrimp, no pork,
y'all eat nothing.
That's why y'all so little. But then them talking about us, years later, a friend of ours came and he said, you know what, I am so sorry for criticizing what you guys have eaten.
And his brother a vegan chef today?
Yes.
I have changed my diet because I have diabetes and I eat the way y'all eat. And if I would have been doing this a long time ago, I would not have these problems.
Wow.
So
like y'all don't smoke, y'all don't drink, y'all can't get a little bit of, no, I sure don't. I don't.
I mean,
don't do
people really, I mean, not to toot a horn or anything, but it actually helps you age better. You know, I just turned 46 years old and people are like,
no way.
yeah. When you eat well, it's on the inside. So what you put on the inside manifests on the outside. So crazy. It helps all kinds of ways.
I don't know how I got to that, but I guess that's just in my heart because I've been.
That was good.
Yeah, lately after we watched, I told Ebony and Karima, man, I have grown up with a bit of a chip on my shoulder sometimes about being Seventh-day Adventist, because you get nervous because we are so different. We really are different in what we believe. There's nothing wrong with being different.
Right.
And I've come to grips with that, you know, in the industry that we've been in, it's not always worked to our advantage. I mean, when we're on the stage, just the way we worship, even the way we sing, the way we sound, not that it makes us better than anybody else, because I'm definitely not saying that at all. It don't make us better. It just made me embrace who we are and what we believe, because sometimes people can make you feel bad for who you are, or, you know, or try to make you be somebody else. But I just want to encourage somebody out there today, get to know God for yourself, that relationship that you have with him. Do not be afraid to share what you believe with somebody else.
That's
Talk
right.
about it. Talk about it. Live it.
Right.
When you live it, then it's different. It takes it to a whole nother level, and it makes it so much more pleasant for people to be around you because you're genuine. And we don't care. We don't care if we're not the most popular group in the world. God didn't call everybody to be popular. He just called you to be yourself, to be genuine, to be who you're supposed to be, say what you're supposed to say, get that message out. He ran away from being popular. He didn't want to be popular because he knew that everybody wasn't going to like him anyways. He already knew that. So if you know that from the start, then you have to battle in. You have to battle in. You got to do stuff because you love it and because God called you to do it. And the race is not given. That's what he told me today. I was out running with my husband. We were doing we run on Sundays. We do like 5 miles and up. And he started before me, and man, I'm getting a little bit older, and I realized I gotta stretch before I start walking or running, because I need to get my body like, hey, I'm about to do this. Y'all ready? You ready? You ready to do this? So he took off. He took off before me, and he was gone, man. He blazed me. He was gone. I was like, dang, I'm never gonna catch him. And as I started running, I don't know, something came over me today. God was with me, and I passed him up. I beat him. I finished, and God, when I got to him, and I got to him, and I said, you know what? Well, I was thinking the whole time that we hear this verse, the race is not given to the swift or to the strong, but to the one who endures to the end. And it's so true. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to be the strongest. And you don't have to be the fastest. Right. You just have to be determined not to quit. You got to keep going. No matter how slow you go, just don't quit. Don't give up. It don't matter. You ain't got to be the prettiest. You ain't got to be the smartest. You just got to not give up.
That's right.
That's it. That's all I got to say.
Endurance. Hey, can I endure. Hey, can I flash back? You said something that I didn't write it down exactly. I just want to preach it next week. So can you say something about them? You said something about some horns. You was like, I gotta blow my. What'd you say? I gotta.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh. You said it's my horn. I got my own horn.
He's trying to steal sermon notes for right now.
Dude,
come here and preach that for us. Forget that, bro. No. Get her to come over here. That's funny.
I already got 12 sermons written down over here. But so
hey, Ebony, can you hold up that book one more time so that we can see it? Can you all tell us about where we can get the book from? How can we purchase it? Those who are listening, where do we go to get the book?
Well, the book is on everythingvirtue.com, but because of COVID, we have really stopped going to the post office to ship these out, but we do have an e-copy on the website. Okay. And you can also get the e-copy there, which is an ebook that will just come straight to your phone or computer, your tablet or whatever. But Amazon we've been working with Amazon, and so I have to remember to go on to Amazon tomorrow. Please remind me to finish this up so I can hit publish, and then this book will be on Amazon, and they will just send it out, so we don't have to worry about going out to get it. Yep. So it's everythingvirtue.com.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So, ladies, what's next for you guys? Before we go, what's next? What's next for Virtue? What can we expect from you guys? Well,
we recorded a song it was almost been a year now, and we have been working on that to get it out. So hopefully before this COVID ends, we will have some type of version of our new song that will come out somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah. Not somewhere, everywhere.
Right.
And we have to get it out. So we've been holding on to it for a minute, but it's time for it to be released. And
Asaph Ward produced it. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he did Lord, I Lift My Hands and like a few other songs for us, like our staple songs.
Miracle. He did Miracle.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
So that hopefully that will be coming out pretty soon. And we're just excited. We just live our lives and make sure that, that God is in us and that people will see God in us and, in the things that we do and how we live our lives.
Right.
And just day by day, just looking for his coming, because he's coming soon. Mm-hmm. And we see it. I mean, we've been hearing it all our lives that he's coming, but now we actually can, after the stories we've read and the Bible and Ellen G. White, Great Controversy, all of these things. I mean, it's like this stuff is happening. It's here. And so we have to make sure that we are ready and telling everybody that we can to hasten his coming. Hey, he's not going to come until everybody knows. So our part, we're doing our part to make sure that on the platforms that we have, that we make sure that we let everybody know that Jesus is coming soon and that it's time now to make sure that we are getting ready for his soon coming.
I love that. Man. Where do we find you guys? How do we look on your platform? What are your social media accounts for the listeners and the viewers?
We are on Instagram at Virtue Girls, and on Facebook it's Virtue, right? Mm-hmm. We also have an email address and a web where you can find the book. I think, Ebony, you mentioned what the website was. You want to say it again?
Yes, everythingvirtue.com, and our email address is allthingsvirtue.com. But if you went on to the
website, not .com, at Gmail.
At gmail.com. You see, you asked me to say everything, all things virtue at gmail.com. But if you went to everythingvirtue.com, you could find the email address there. Yeah.
Hey, G, man, I was blessed, man. I know you over there taking sermon notes, but man, I was blessed over there, man. I'm so glad that you guys came on the call and came on.
These teachers,
recording. I love it.
These teachers, singers, and cooks are all preachers.
Yeah, man, for real. Real talk. So we appreciate it, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us,
Thanks for having us.
God bless you. God bless you.
We need to get you guys on. We've had different pastors praying.
Well, I've been seeing Pastor Noel Washington. He's been blessing me too. I've been getting up. I've been seeing him.
Yeah, so nice. If you guys want to be a guest for us, we would love to have you and feature you on. It's early in the morning, but it's as quick as you want it to be.
I love that. Thank you. Right. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being a part of the Academy Podcast. Hey, G, man, this is awesome, bro.
Blessings. Well, thank you so much, you all.
You've been listening to the Academy Podcast with Austin and G. Hit the subscribe button and come again. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. Oh yeah, and if you know someone who could use the information you just gained, take a minute to share. Much love from the AP.